Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar panel discussion. I'm Vali, Marketing Manager at Nativex, and I'm excited to be here. We've got a fantastic event for you guys prepared. We're going to be talking about leveraging the power of hypervisual creatives to maximize TikTok campaign ROI. That's a big one, right? We're going to talk a bit about some challenges and opportunities, which my friend Suki here is going to discuss in her introductory speech. Then we're going to jump into the main event itself, which is the panel discussion with our friends, which I'm going to introduce in a second. And then we're going to jump into the live Q&A session. For everyone in the audience, that will be your opportunity to ask any of our panelists whatever questions you might have. Any questions, any suggestions, advice about your TikTok campaigns, that will be the right time to do so. Now, we're going to meet the speakers briefly. So it's going to be my friend Suki, joined on stage by Handy at TikTok, Vin at Amanotes, Evan at CoLearn, and Sandy at Bleebly. We're going to meet them in a bit, but before we do that, I'd say let's start with Suki, who's going to tell us a bit more about advertising challenges and opportunities on TikTok. So Suki, why don't you just take it away?
Thank you so much, Vali. Hello, everybody. Hope you are all doing well. I'm Suki, Senior Director for APAC at Nativex. I see some familiar names in the audience list. Thank you for attending. For those who I have yet met, I hope to get connected with you. Today, allow me to share an overview for TikTok global ranking. Where are our opportunities? And lastly, some of the challenges and misconceptions that advertisers have. According to App Annie, in May 2021, TikTok was once again the most downloaded app in the world. In fact, TikTok has been the most downloaded app globally for a long time, according to Sensor Tower data. What this shows is that TikTok has become the main channel of choice for global audience. Are you taking advantage of these huge opportunities? A commissioned Lausen study from TikTok revealed that 52% of users learn about new products via brand video ads on TikTok, while 67% of them agree that TikTok helped them to learn about brands and products that have never thought of before. 90% of the users came across ads on TikTok, and more than 56% of them searched the information about the ads they have seen. However, brands and advertisers are missing out on huge opportunities due to this misconception that TikTok was only for branding and not conversions. Many brands and advertisers don't have a really good understanding of the mechanics behind running conversion campaigns on TikTok, assuming that it's not a simple or scalable platform. So, what are the key challenges that commonly faced by our advertisers and brands? Firstly, there are various challenges when setting marketing goals. For example, how to measure the success of a campaign. Is it increase a conversion rate, or decrease a cost per action, or if even requires a higher conversion volume? Secondly, without immersive creative ads and an ever-evolving creative strategies, brands will always have difficulty engaging their target audience. Thirdly, the challenge is brands and advertisers have to take into account a wide range of nuances when creating content across different verticals. Beyond just ad formats and content, from non-gaming verticals like e-commerce and fintech to gaming industries, they need to do this to ensure they generate the better conversions and meet their campaign objectives. Lastly, only by tailoring their creative to suit consumers' preference will brands be able to achieve their optimum marketing goals. The question here is, how do we customize to each and every individual? As a TikTok marketing partner, we understand these challenges because we have helped many advertisers from different business verticals to develop and optimize their creative ad campaign on TikTok. Well, once again, thank you for attending our webinar. I look forward to sharing more insight during the panel discussion. Back to you, Wally.
All right, so now we're going to jump into the main event of the day, the panel discussion itself. So joining Suki on stage will be our friends from TikTok, Amanotes, Colern, and Blibli. Let's just go around the table and introduce everyone. So first of all, we've got Handy. Hey, Handy, nice to see you. How's it going
Hey
over there?
everyone. Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Handi. I am a client solutions manager from TikTok. I've been here for roughly a year and have been managing a lot of key accounts from e-commerce, finance, and also education across Southeast Asia.
Awesome. Well, it's glad you joined us. We're looking forward to speaking with you. Next up, we've got Vin from Amanotes. How's it going, Vin?
Hi, Valley. Hi, everyone. I'm Vin from Evernote. I'm taking care of games and simulations portfolio. Very glad to be here today with you guys.
And we're glad that you're here as well. Next on the list, we got Evan from Colern. How's it going, Evan?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much, guys. Hi, my name is Evan. I am currently the growth manager for Colern. So mainly I've been focusing on user acquisition, retargeting, and most of the Colern's marketing initiative. Really excited to be here. Hopefully, like you guys can get some value from this.
Oh, absolutely, we will. Absolutely. And last but not least, we got Sandy from Blibli. Sandy, hello there.
Hello, Vali, and hello everyone. I'm Sandy, and I'm from Blibli.com, e-commerce in Indonesia, and I'm currently working as the performance advertising manager. So hopefully we can share something that could help you improve your performance through TikTok also.
Excellent. Well, now I've got a full lineup identified and everyone's ready to go. Let's jump into the first topic itself, which is the following. What is the most effective content direction across your vertical, and how do you spend your creative budget wisely? Right, that's a big one. So we're going to divide it into several little topics. So first of all, I'm going to start with you, Suki, and I'm going to ask you a bit about this. Can you tell me a bit about why are creatives the biggest concern for advertisers, especially for performance campaigns, and how do they contribute to the success of a campaign? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Wow, this is commonly asked by our clients. So as we know, TikTok is so-called hypervisual platforms that is really the name of the game. So unlike other social media platforms out there, TikTok relies heavily on visuals. I think making a ad creative is the center of any successful campaign. And when it comes to developing creative campaigns, I think advertisers have to take into account for their business industry and avoid applying a one-size-fits-all approach across different business sectors. However, with irrelevant creative content, we wouldn't win the options. As a result, the percentage of CTR will be low, and the CPM, CPA, and even the overall cost will increase. For some of the campaigns, it's even difficult to acquire new user to get the ideal results. Yeah,
that's a very interesting point, because hopefully now we understand just how important creatives are for a successful TikTok campaign. So speaking of TikTok, I got a question for you, Handy. Can you tell us a bit about advertisers and how they can actually produce successful creatives that can help and drive conversion and engagement numbers on TikTok? That's a big question, and hopefully you can help us answer that one.
That's actually one of the biggest questions every advertisers will ask to TikTok whenever they're on board with TikTok. So of course there's no standardized answer to that, but there are two things that all advertisers need to take care of. Number one is creative experimentation, and number two is measurement, how we measure the creative. Let's touch the first point where we where we think experimenting with creative is very important. I do have a couple of videos. Do you mind if you go to that section and then show the video?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's this digital lending application in Indonesia. So we let them know they should be experimenting with multiple creative categories. One of them would be, focusing towards a product, like a product demonstration. And interestingly, we, tested to at a very extreme range. We also tested a meme content at the right hand side. I think we can play the video just to show I think we can play the second video at the right hand side, where the video is, I'm sorry, it's in Indonesian, but essentially the video the video is trying to ask the user in a funny way with a quiz where it is actually part of trending meme at TikTok Indonesia.
All right, so let's play it and see what this is all about.
Apaan tuh? Ikan pos.
Kredit apa yang jangka waktu dan jumlah pinjamannya bisa fleksibel?
Makin pintar.
All right, okay. I think the audio was not so clear, but they actually include the trending audio from TikTok, and also they incorporated one of the trending meme from TikTok. And as a digital lending platform, right, you probably will assume, oh, they need to be very clear what's a product about, and make sure that all the products are clearly described. But what happened is these advertisers actually trying to get cost per new user as cheap as possible, as efficient as possible. And what was very shocking to us is a meme content actually performed best compared to even like product focus and KOL driven videos. So of course, this doesn't mean that every advertiser should try a meme as an ad. But what I want to highlight here is experimenting would be very crucial. This very client wouldn't know that meme would help them to drive best in cost per result, but because they were happy to test, and now they know that this actually a creative type that is performing very well for them. But on a second note, other than experimenting, measurement would be number two that is very important, and measuring creative could be a bit tricky because we know that creatives is very subjective. We all can have different tastes when it comes to creative, right? So what I would recommend is to put custom attributes at the creative level, whether you put it at the ad group, ad level, or even at the asset level. And by creative attributes, right, you can mention whether what kind of creative is this, whether this involves KOL, regular people, employees, or you can also maybe mention, oh, this is a funny video, or this is a product focus. You can also mention other attributes, anything that you can think of. So then you have all this data at the ad account level, and then you can just pull the data, make a pivot table, and then from there you will be able to measure at volume and getting the cost per result very nicely in a spreadsheet.
Right. See, that's exactly what I wanted to hear, the importance of having the right creatives, and hearing it from TikTok hopefully cements that belief in everyone. Said, like, getting the right creatives matters so much. And it's interesting to see just how important memes can be to this creative arsenal, just how strong the results can actually be. Now, we've heard from our friend Handy here, but let's hear about this from the brands themselves, the ones who actually implemented these strategies. So we're going to talk to the guys at Kohler, Amazon Simply, and I'm going to ask you guys the same question. I'm going to start with you, Evan, and maybe you can tell me, well, it's a two-part question, if you will. First of all, what's your experience when optimizing these campaigns for your own product in your own vertical? And what are some creative best practices, if you will, that you could share from your experience and from the stuff that you've learned? So, Evan, take us away.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Wally. So I think, first of all, I think most of the audience here are probably still new on TikTok. So what I can tell for sure is basically it starts from, experimenting for yourself. And actually, this is one of the things that we kind of regret not doing earlier, because, back then when we first launched on TikTok, all we care about is like, okay, how can we just try to maximize the performance how can we keep lowering the cost per registrations, etc., etc. But we didn't allocate enough budget for experimentation. So I think that's one of the things, if we could go back in time, we would have done it differently. So it's like, for example, like you have this budget and then you allocate like 10, 20% of your overall budget for experimenting with new ideas, experimenting with different types of duration, experimenting with different types of angle, all of these things, just keep experimenting, because even when you have been on TikTok for some time, you will still need to keep experimenting and keep trying new form of content. So I think that's like one of the advice that I would give now for the best practice, right? I think it really depends on what kind of vertical are you in. But if you ask me how we do that on the edtech vertical, I would say, our audience is basically students, right? Students aged 13 to 17 years old. So meaning that the most common content that they are looking for is obviously about entertainment. And I think this is where it can get a little bit tricky, because like we are an education brand, and education brand is usually known to be very serious, in terms of the brand persona. But at the same time, you also need to cater to what they really like, what the students really like. So in our experience, we found that the best formula for us is like, okay, the first 3 seconds, you need to have like a human element, so that it doesn't feel like, okay, this is something that, it doesn't feel like I am being advertised from the student's perspective. So it's like, okay, this is ads, but it doesn't feel like ads. So I think you need to nail how you can strike the balance between, performance marketing and just creating a content that students like. Okay, so the first 3 seconds, there should be a human element. And we also found that the best duration for our vertical, it's less than 20 seconds. So actually, like we also did some kind of experiments between, content with less than 20 seconds or content that is longer than 20 seconds. And we actually found a huge difference in terms of results. The content that is less than 15 to 20 seconds, actually they outperform the content that is longer than that by 40 to 50%. So we saw a huge difference, because usually usually like the CTA is at the back of the video, right? So they cannot convert if they haven't got to the part where we actually talk about our product. So I think it makes a lot of sense to just keep the video short, keep the video entertaining. And most of all, I think this is like the tagline that TikTok use. It's don't make ads, but make TikToks.
That's right. There you go. Valuable advice right there from Evan. That's a good one. So let's move. Same question, because I want to hear from everyone on the brand side. So let's hear from Sandy. How did it work on your vertical, on your side?
Yeah, so from ours, so Blibli is currently in e-commerce, so we are focusing on sales and products. So far, what we've done is we also combine multiple contents. So we have some videos showing some of our friends dancing with the hit song on TikTok, and then we also have some products that is being shown using product unboxing or product reviews. And to further improve our performance, we found that actually product unboxing and product review is quite impactful, because what we are trying to do is to push some product discovery to TikTok viewers, whereas at first they probably just going to see TikTok for entertainment, let's just say. But then when they saw the content from Blibli, and then the music is catchy, and then suddenly we will give you some product that you might get interested in. So that's why we are trying to give some content and also show some product unboxing or product review. So at least we also show that Blibli has this product for you, and you can also make some purchase. So not only the customer or the audience on TikTok see the entertainment, but they also get engaged to more action behind, which is make some purchase through our e-commerce basically. And then I think combining product with music and the latest trend that is happening in TikTok is one of the key elements in further optimizing the campaign.
Yeah, that's right. You got to stay up to date with whatever is trending on TikTok and implement that. That's crucial to success. Let me ask Vin the same question because I want to hear it from the Amazon side as well. Tell me, how did it work on your guys' end?
Sure. And as everybody mentioned, that it's very important to stay on top of the trend, right? And one way to do it is to diversify the portfolio, diversify the format, and we look at the performance of each of the channel or each of the campaigns very closely to look at the ROIs. So for the content direction, as a music game company, we focus a lot on the music itself and the gameplay of the game combined with the music in a very short form, could be 15 seconds, 20 seconds, as Evan mentioned, is the best practice that we have so far. And in terms of TikTok trends, we use a lot of new songs on TikTok with licensing, and it showed that those creative perform very well. So I think that, again, leverage the information on TikTok and across other channels can help us to evaluate the ROI of each of the campaigns very well and optimize those campaigns more.
That's very interesting, and I wanna follow up with another question for you. Would you say that localization is a big part of your creative planning? Have you found your campaigns to be more successful with localized creatives?
Exactly, we see a significant improvements, very significant in terms of localizations. Because we started the US, our biggest market, and they use the content, the popular songs, mostly from the US. But when it comes to, let's say, Japan or Korea and China, we use the local songs, local content, and it helped a lot in the performance of those creative.
See, that's the thing. Never underestimate the power of localization. Very, very useful stuff. Thanks a lot, Vian. Right. That's really, really interesting. And I want to hear it from an advertiser's point of view. So I'm going to ask Suki, should cost-effective creatives be a priority when starting, a campaign with a limited budget? And if so, like, where would you suggest that they should start from?
Yeah, so I think cost efficiency is very important. Every advertiser wanted to achieve lower cost per action with limited budget. So there are different video styles to consider when we take cost efficient into account. My recommendation is the product-focused video is a favorable format that advertisers should prioritize due to its cost efficiency. These videos are not only useful for showcasing products, but they also can highlight the product unique selling points. With e-commerce, for example, by using visuals like animated GIF, advertiser can feature the key product offerings, new discounts, and ongoing promotion to appeal to their target consumer. Besides the product-focused video, there are other types of video that can be used. User-generated content, which is recommended for reducing cost per action while improving conversion rates. Brand ambassador can help to drive the UGC content by taking the TikToker to dance, to run the challenges, and take part in the latest trends. And lastly, a lot of impactful and cost-effective creative is to use the app demo videos, which are popular in verticals like gaming, edutech, fintech, and so on. For such creatives, user can be direct to the in-app actions, such as signing up, making a purchase, or subscribing a service. This way, the users will know exactly they can do and how to do it by simply following the instruction from the video itself.
That's right, and you were talking about user-generated content. Some of that, I come across with that myself, and some of it is just amazing. It's smart, it's funny, it's brilliant. It's very well camouflaged, if you will, and it can generate some great results. Thank you very much for that, Suki. All right, cool. So moving on to the second topic. So now that we shared just how important the quality of the content, we're going to talk a bit about the quantity. So next topic is how do you decide on the ideal creative volume to optimize your campaign performance? So I'm going to start with Handy, and I'm going to ask you, if there are any factors when deciding on the right amount of creatives, or if there's like a standard amount that that it should be used in general, and on average, how many creatives would you suggest brands should use on a weekly basis, for instance? So Handy, maybe you can share some guidelines from the TikTok side.
All right, okay. So actually, this is a very interesting topic. There are a few advertisers that I would say, quite obsessed to get, what's the standard? What's the standard? Many people actually ask that question. Of course, there's no standard, but I feel like there's a clear guidelines how you can know the number, the ideal number of creative. You need to consider three different factors. One is your spending. Second is your audience size, and third would be your creative production volume. All right. So you need to make sure these three factors are all balanced.
That's very, very insightful. Hopefully everyone in chat is taking notes. You heard it from TikTok. All right. Now let's move on to actual brands who actually implemented some of these and hear from their experiences. So my next question is going to be to the brands themselves, and I'm going to start with Sandy from Blibli. What's the usual number of creatives that you guys tend to use on your campaigns on a weekly or monthly basis? And how did you get to that number? Why did you use that certain number, for instance?
Yeah, so basically at the current time, we are still providing about 5 videos per week for now. I know this number is quite low compared to the other panelists here, probably. To add more and more, and hopefully by collaborating with Nativex team, we can push further so we could have a double-digit creatives per week. So why we still have only 5 creatives? Because there are many reasons. Because one of them is trying to find product which are trending. Because here in the TikTok world, the trend is getting the trend is getting, every day the trend is shifting. So that's why once we start to create this content about product A, suddenly the next day the trend is moving to product B. So that's why we are trying hard to catch up with the trend. But yeah, since we are still working on that, currently we still have 5 content per week.
Don't worry, Suki's in chat. She heard you, so you guys are going to work this out together, I'm sure. Let me ask the same question to Evan. Let's see how Co-Learn are dealing with this. What's their magic creative number?
Yeah, for sure. For us, like, we don't have a necessarily magic number, but if you were to ask, like, take it on average, like how many creative that we create, I think there are 2 types. So, when there's a high season, because we are an edtech brand, so, some months are busier than the others. On the busier months, we can create between 6 to even 12 creative a week. That's when we talk about the peak. Usually our peak month is during March or April, but when there's not so much traffic coming into the app, I think we are averaging around 3 to 6 creative per week. So and we are able to get to that number. Actually, that's not something that we do it ourselves. Like, we do have the creative power, but actually there are some people that are helping us as well. For example, like a local agency where we are working with them to create creative, right? So I think just try to mix that up, combining the creative power within our team, and what can we do? Like, what agency can we work with to just fulfill this number of creative? Because as I mentioned on the previous question, basically on TikTok, it's just about experimenting. So perhaps like you have one content that works really well, but there's no guarantee that next week or next month that content will still perform well, because this ad fatigue exists, right? If you see the same ads over and over again, I think that's when you need to try to change up the creative, mix that up with different form of creative. So yeah, that's what we have been doing for the past 1 year.
And that's right. Like, ad fatigue is a real issue. You got to keep experimenting. You got to keep refreshing. You can't use the same thing. Even if it's proven to work once, it will not work forever. And just like Evan explained, like, you got to keep going. Let me ask Vin now. It's your turn to tell us a bit from the Amazon side of things. What's the volume situation there in terms of creatives?
We try to multi-concepts at the same time on different channels. But I think on average, it could be 4 to 5 creative per week. And the thing is that you have to be clear which aspect of the creative you want to test. Is it the length of the creative, or is it the content, the songs? And sometimes it could be as detailed as the order of the songs as well. It could change a lot. So we try to have several variants at the beginning, and then we start testing and rolling it out one by one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even little things like just the order of the songs can actually make a difference. See, that very interesting thing to keep in mind. So then, with all that being said, that's very interesting stuff. We're going to ask a couple of different questions, but we're going to ask everyone. So it's like a three-parter basically. First of all, are there any key challenges for for your brand around these requirements? If so, how did you overcome them? What kind of results did you see? And were there any situations where, let's say, you just couldn't keep up with a creative quantity, the quantity of ad creatives required? So let's start with Sandy. Maybe you can tell us from your side.
Yeah, so our main challenges basically are connecting the dots between how the audience of TikTok, as you say, the demand for some products, let's just say, and then how we can match those demand with our product from our inventories basically. So our challenge was figuring out which from our bestseller products that is more catered for TikTok audience. Because not even from our bestseller product, it doesn't mean that all of them were 100% or needed by the audience of TikTok. So that's why we need to filter them again, making sure that the product that we created the content for are really catered for TikTok audience. And those are our current homework. We are still working on that, making sure that we will provide the best content for our TikTok audience. And I think even though it might be a hit or miss, but we're trying our best on that.
That's all it takes, right? Just hit and miss.
Yeah.
It's fine. You learn from this as
Yes.
well. Like even failures helps you get better in the long run. Thanks a lot, Sandy. Let me ask Colern the same question. So how did it work on the Colern side of things, Evan?
Yeah, for sure. Like initially, like we had some challenges, right? Obviously, trying to fulfill this number of ads requirement, because I think one of the problems that we also face, and we are still facing to this day, by the way, is keeping up with the trend. I think that one thing is rather hard because we have limited pair of eyes, and there are just so many content going on TikTok, and sometimes we missed on that opportunity, right? So one of the things that we did, and this has really helped us a lot, and actually this is also being assisted by the TikTok team. So they have this TikTok creative program where they provide us with the creative, and so basically they help us on providing the creative by working with the local agency. So I think that one really helps a lot because that really gives us a new or a fresh creative angles, right? So that's one of the things that we found that is very useful for us. And the second thing would be, I think it's time for more companies to really build their team around TikTok, right? Because, we all know that TikTok is like a rather new platform. So one of the things that I really see a lot on other companies is that, okay, they don't build their marketing team based on what TikTok really needs. And I think this is time for us to just build our team around how TikTok works. So for example, like, okay, we have this dedicated person to do a lot of research. We have this dedicated person to do KOL, to work with the KOL, right? And I think that's how we are able to catch up on what are the changes that are happening on TikTok, because otherwise we will definitely get left behind if we don't just adjust.
See, that's exactly it. Adapt or die, basically. It might sound too cruel, but that's basically it if you think about it. And that's really good advice for everyone in chat from Evan. Get yourself a dedicated team and get surrounded with like experts on TikTok. Don't use a sort of a one-size-fits-all approach. That's not going to work. That's not how evolution works, right?
Yeah, and I would recommend actually, like since TikTok keeps on rising and rising, I would say don't make TikTok as an afterthought. Make TikTok a priority. Like that's definitely the new direction that we are heading into, at least within our team. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. You can no longer afford to consider TikTok as just a side little thing. It's become a massive, massive platform. You cannot have just ignored it, Very, very insightful stuff. Thanks a lot, Evan. Let me ask Vin the same questions. I want to hear from you guys, from your side.
Okay, I think you guys cover quite a lot, and I agree with all of that. Just one thing I noticed is that the reason why we have to increase the number of creative that we have to test every week is because of the speed and the life cycle of a creative. Some creative gonna exhaust at some point, and we need to find the next best creative to replace that. So that's why we have to keep testing and testing. Also on a weekly basis is because that the data that we get, we can see a lot of up and down during the weekdays. Like Wednesday, usually the lowest engagement, for example, and Saturday and Sundays are highest. So we have a 1 week of data to look at the performance of each creative. That's how we set the time frame of 1 week, and to continue to test to find the next best creative to replace the current one, because it's going to exhaust at some point. And we noticed that by using the trend, it could help us in a very short time acquire a lot of users. But at the same time, there's going to be new trend replace the current one. That's why we have to stay on top of all the trends that possible, both in terms of the concept, in terms of the music content, and several other factors. Yeah, that's all I have to share.
Yeah, absolutely. See, just to sum it up, like you gotta keep on top of the current trends, right? You cannot afford to just sit back and wait for miracles to happen. You got to keep working at it. You got to have like a dedicated team. You got to keep investing in your strategies, because if you don't, your competition will. Let's put it this way, So let me ask Suki on the advertiser side of things. Does Nativex have any sort of solutions to support advertisers in tackling all these challenges?
Yes, certainly. I think I'm totally agree everyone's point of view. So I think in order to keep conversion high, and TikTok campaign need to constant to generate a new stream of creative. So we need to update more frequently, which translate to more desired resources. So now Nativex actually prioritize to produce fresh creative weekly to keep going to source the new creative direction. So we have the capability to generate a really large number of creative, approximately 10 to 12 new creative per week, per time. Yeah. So I think this is something that we can solve your issue, Sandy. Yes, definitely also catch the latest trends for each of the local markets. And even for some of the peak time, like e-commerce big day, we can even generate like 20 new sets of creative per week. And importantly, we need to conduct A/B testing with a different creative to determine what is the user behavior and response, and we tweak accordingly to improve the CTR for a particular campaign. So we usually want a comprehensive A/B testing phase to ensure we take the creative direction that reaches the best conversions. So I'm testing scenario, like look into various elements, including creative format, time of day, and the choice of the song, and some more. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. It's really good to keep in mind that exactly the power of A/B testing, and the fact that Nativex has a capability to run large-scale A/B tests could help advertisers reach their goals. So this concludes our second topic, which means we're going to move to our third and final topic, one of my favorite topics actually. It's going to be all about influencers or KOLs, however we want to call them. So when and why should you use key opinion leaders or KOL creative videos in your advertising campaigns, right? So let me start with Handy and ask on the TikTok side, when it comes to working with influencers on TikTok, what would you say are some of the best practices for brands across different verticals?
Actually, before I answer your question, I'd like to revisit a little bit on the topic too, where I think mostly I cover, how TikTok ads manager can help to repurpose. But I really agree with Suki mentioned, where she, she observes fresh new creatives, perform better on TikTok ads. That is definitely, something that I would like to, highlight to every advertisers. If you do have the capability to create or connect with creative partners and create fresh new creatives, you will see a significant lift in your conversion when you do that. And if you would like to diversify your creative production portfolio, exploring with KOLs of course would be one of the solutions. And TikTok actually have a very unique platform which not just advertisers but also creative partners, they use a platform that is called TikTok Creator Marketplace. At the moment, we don't see a lot of advertisers nor creative partners, know this. This is not very well known, but this is actually a very powerful and well managed by our dedicated team here at TikTok. And what this platform does is this can connect everyone to KOLs, and you can see a detailed profile of the KOL, whether it's the contact number, WhatsApp, and then what's the demography of their followers, their video capabilities, and all that. You can access that within our Creator Marketplace. And what's interesting is we are going to have a new update very soon. And what's going to happen is we will onboard a lot more KOLs. You can find from macro, micro to even nano KOLs from there. So you can work with KOLs across the globe with just this platform. Definitely something that everyone needs to try, especially after we release this new update. Then when after you decide to work with KOLs, we feel like there are two best practices that every advertisers and creative partners need to follow. Number one, we really want to highlight that number of followers may not be affecting, may not be the number one factor anymore. So TikTok is, I would say, very different in terms of our creators compared to other channels. Everyone can go to FYP, so number of followers may not necessarily be the number one factor.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And keep in mind, guys, there's some new features coming on TikTok soon. So inside scoop from Handy, hot off the press. Thanks a lot, Handy. Let's move on to Vin, because while Handy was talking, I was thinking about it. How is it going to work on a hyper casual gaming publisher like you guys? How important is using KOLs, and how did it add any value to your campaigns or something? How did it work for you guys?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that we want to diversify our investment. So not just on the traditional channel for games and music game, we also try KOL on TikTok. So actually, to be very honest, we haven't seen a very big improvement from this channel yet, but we have several approach in picking the KOL. We work with someone who also related to music, because our game is musical games. And it showed that when we work with those KOL, it improves some of the key metrics. The problem is the scaling part of it. So I think that there's a huge room for improvement when it comes to working with KOL for your advertising campaign. The second thing that I noticed when using TikTok is that they very well designed for working with the KOL. Really, it's like the marketplace. So we go there and then we have the contact, and then we can work directly with the KOL as well, instead of go through an agency. But maybe we should try several ways. But my take from that trial is that very convenient to use on that platform. So I hope that in the future, when we continue to test this new way of advertising, it will show more significant results.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's one way to get better, right? You test, you keep learning, and hopefully even some of the less less amazing results will pave the way to better results because you're using the experience you've gained from your previous tests. Like, and Evan, this question is for you. Your audience is basically students, right? So the Gen Z. Now, Gen Z is quite in tune, I want to say, with KOLs. They tend to appeal quite strongly to that group. So, when did you actually use influencers or KOLs in your creatives, for your performance campaigns, and what kind of results did you get from those campaigns?
Yeah, good question, Fali. So, initially, like when we first launched, I think during the middle of last year, we actually didn't really use KOLs, right? So we kind of like rely on our internal creative production to create all the videos for our advertising campaigns. But, as we kept on spending, that's when we start to see a decrease in performance. So that's when we try to diversify our creative into using KOL, right? So I think this happened on, nearing the end of last year, right? So that's when we started to use KOL, and I think we saw a huge improvement in terms of performance because, first of all, KOL just gives you the credibility, right? Especially for a new brand, especially for a brand that tries to explore TikTok as a marketing channel. I think KOL just give you that credibility, especially when you work with the right KOL, right? And even for us, after we acquire 4 million users since our inception date, we still saw that there's some value that we can derive from working with the KOLs, right? And partially, I think the one thing that not many people kind of highlight, actually when we do this advertising campaign, so for example, like, okay, we spend like $1,500 or $2,000 to TikTok for these advertising campaigns, right? Sometimes we only think about the short-term results like the CPR, the CPC, the view rate, the conversion rate. But one thing that we kind of miss, actually, for us, that's also one of the mistakes that we did, is that we only look at these metrics, but we never really thought about the long-term impact of the branding that this ads created, right? So if, for example, right, like you spend 10,000 or 50,000 US dollars per month on TikTok, right? And then you just use this same people on your video, the same creative, on the short term, maybe the only results that you can see is that, okay, I might get like a lower CTR, but actually the reason why we've been working with the KOLs a lot lately is actually, even though like this is a performance campaign, actually this is also one of the opportunities that we have to kind of create a long-lasting branding effects, right? So that's actually what we realized. So KOL is not only effective for improving the performance campaign, but actually in terms of the branding, whether your branding actually have a good perception in terms of the users, I think that's where KOLs plays a huge role, at least for us.
And that's actually a very, very good point, Evan. It's easy to fall into that trap of looking at short-term results and just not remembering that, if you're playing the longer game, you might see some better results, not just, this month and, what are you going to do the next step. So think a few moves ahead, basically, and that's where KOLs can come in. Very, very useful stuff. From an agency perspective, and I'm going to ask Suki this one, since you guys focus on execution, what can you tell us from your experience that could actually help brands, run their campaigns more efficiently?
Okay, sure. So from our experience at the execution stage of the campaign, KOL lead content can be boosted in a couple of ways. I think firstly, KOL can share the sponsored video on their profile, and it's depending on the arrangement from the brand. KOL will also keep the product link in their bio for a period of time and promote the brand message to their followers. And secondly, I think the brands can utilize the boosted TikTok feature to amplify the video content throughout the ad campaign. Yeah.
And I was wondering, do you have any case studies or examples where these KOL campaigns were applied and these tactics were actually used?
Yeah, we have one of the sample is I think recently we launched a campaign. It's called the game, Win of the Dragon. We leverage on KOLs at the game launch phase to boost its awareness and exposure. It leads to 30% lower the cost per install for the overall campaign. But one thing to highlight here, what will not work well is when the advertiser to detect how KOL engage its own audience. So advertisers have to really recognize that the KOL will know how to best engage with their own audience. And these brands have to work closely with their KOLs and understand their target audience and achieve the best results.
That's right, exactly. When you work with KOLs, just get out of their way. Let them do their part because they know their audience better than anyone else. So make sure you don't interfere with their creative process, let them do their part. That's what they got to that stage. You just get out of their way. Thanks for that. Now, Sigi, one more question for you. We look at using KOL videos, they can generate some really good campaign results, but that might not always be a suitable choice for all marketing budgets, So do you know if there's an alternative solution for other types of budgets, like smaller budgets, let's say?
Another alternative solution will be use the suitable talents who have yet to reach the KOL or even celebrity status. So when brands to use the real talents that people that consumer can relate to, consumer are often more likely to engage with the ads because this ad will usually match the look and the feel of the regular content on the platform. And consumer may not realize that is an ad they're watching.
Right. Very, very interesting stuff. Thanks a lot, Suki, and thanks everybody for sharing your thoughts. This has been really, really enticing and just very insightful. And I'm hoping everyone in chat is taking notes because some real knowledge bombs were dropped today. Now, what we're going to do next is actually see if everyone in chat has any questions for our panel. So we're going to move on to the next segment, which is the Q&A. All right, now we're on the next stage, which is the Q&A session. So what we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to look at any questions we got in chat, and we're going to basically make sure that we read some of your questions and our panelists have answers. Now, while we prepare the questions, I'll need to remind you, everybody, that we've got some polls and some handouts, which you can actually use and download and check out right now. It should be in your chat. Well, next to the chat button, there's a polls function and a handouts function, which our experts created to basically help you with your TikTok campaigns. Download that, it's free. It will hopefully help you drive some better results. So make sure you check that out. I think we got some questions already. And our first question is for Handy, actually. So let's see if Handy can help me answer this question, which is from Putri. And they said, or they asked, you mentioned, so Andy, this question is for you. Says, you mentioned how content is delivered throughout KOL video is more important. Could you share how we could optimize content for KOL's videos that could impact positively on campaign performance? So what do you think?
All right. Okay. So when it comes to optimization, it is really related to experimentation, right? So if the question is about optimization, I think, before you even start working with KOLs, you need to plan your framework. What are the things you want to test and how would you like to do the test? I can share some of the example. For example, you have a budget to work with let's say a macro, let's just say nano level KOL to create videos for TikTok ads. And then, across the 10 talents that you are working with, you can, do maybe things differently from each of the talents. Let's say one of them may be doing hard selling, the other one doing soft selling, and then the other one could be maybe, focusing more on the products. The other one would be more on the brand side. When you have like a good framework like this, then you will be able to optimize from batch to batch. So let's say you call this as your first batch, and then you can take a look, oh, which one performs better, and then in the next following batch you can of course improve how you want to ask the videos to be made by your KOLs.
Right. That's very useful stuff. Thank you very much, Andy. And hopefully, Pucci, you got the answer you were looking for. Let's see what other questions we got in chat. Right. Okay. So I think we got one more for Suki. So hopefully, Suki, you can hear me. You can take this one. So Suki, we got a question from Stella, and she's asking, have you experienced a large-scale campaign across like multiple regions or countries, and what was your creative strategy at the time? So what do you think, Suki?
Hi, Riley. Just trying to see if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you just
cool.
fine.
So yes, definitely we have collaborate with many different regional players, and they have a different presence on foreign markets like Indonesia, Australia, and even Brazil, right? So with various regional markets and user demographics, with a various of regional markets present and user demographics would have a different response and engagement with different type of creative. Hence, I think the experimentation-based approach to come with different type of creative can help to enhance the efficiency. Secondly, I think localization strategy is still the key. Localization extends beyond just the simple language translation. It's crucial to come out the content is appropriate for the local culture and habits. One of the good suggestions is to keep our eyes on the TikTok's trending hashtag in the targeted region. Lastly, we still recommend to work with the local influencer, which helps to attract their followers and create a high level of engagement. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Suki. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I was looking at chat. Very, very interesting questions, guys. Keep on coming. All right, next question is for Evan. Okay, Evan, let's see if you can answer this one. So, right. All right, Evan, it's your turn to share some knowledge. So the question is from Hui, and they asking, what campaign objectives are you running on TikTok? And do you reuse creatives from other channels like Facebook or Google for your campaigns there?
Okay, so I think for the first question, like what kind of campaign objective that I'm running on TikTok, it's mostly on the performance campaign in terms of acquiring users, basically. So user acquisition for the app and also user retargeting to the app as well. So I think those two things are, the most common objective that we are currently using. Now, for the second question, no, we are not using creative from other channels because even the nature of TikTok itself, it's just very, very different compared to the other platforms. Although like we can do that, but what we learned, actually we cannot just use them, right? But on the flip side, actually the content from TikTok, you can actually try to use that on other platforms, but the reverse doesn't work. That's what we found so far.
That's very interesting. Thanks a lot, Evan. You did mention earlier, like focus on TikTok. Don't make it an afterthought. That's exactly it, right?
Yes.
Make sure it's
exactly.
it's a focus, right? Cool. Thank you very much, Evan, for this. Let's move on to the next question, which is for Vin, apparently. So let's see if we got Vin over here. Okay. Seems like we lost Vin. No, wait. Actually, let me ask Handy again for this one. No, sorry. Let's move on to Sandy. I got Sandy here.
Yep. Hi, Folly. Hi,
So Sandy, I got a question for you, buddy. Tanling is asking, I'm also from the e-commerce industry, so besides unboxing videos, do you recommend any other content direction that we could start with?
Yes, from our point of view, you can also start with a product showcase of your store. Product unboxing. That we are trying to. Oh, sorry, I think I might got some issue with my connection.
You're
Can you hear me now?
You're back.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So other than the product unboxing, we also recommend for you to start doing a product showcasing, because when we are highlighting a product unboxing, the element that we are trying to show is more on the excitement when you get the package and then you unbox and you want to see what's inside the box. So that is one factor that we wanted to highlight through using the product unboxing. But the other way that you could also explore is using product showcase. So you could start showing your products, combine it with the latest trending music, probably, and some comedy or any ideas that you can imagine, and then make it up into one comprehensive content. I think that would be great also, because we believe that the product discovery is also important for e-commerce, because you need to show to your audience that we have this, we have that. Because if you don't show them what you have, then how can your audience know that your e-commerce have those products?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to show your stuff. They're not going to come at you. You got to come to them. Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Sandy. Very useful stuff. Let's move on to the next question, which is for my friend Handy here. So I've got another question for you, buddy. Hopefully you can see us. All right, Handy, your turn again. So here's a question. Stephanie's asking, sometimes we use trending hashtags, and even though they aren't related to our products. So will that be a problem if we do a boost post?
All right. Okay. So if I get the question correctly, because most of the questions here are related to TikTok ads, as in like you are advertising, right? I'm hoping that the question is not related to how to go viral on FYP, but if your question is more on if you have an existing TikTok post and you would like to use that as a boosted TikTok, which is now called Spark Ads. Yes, you can do that. It will not be rejected, despite that it has some hashtags in it.
I see. Okay, well, you didn't tell us how to go viral, so we'll ask this again some other time. Hopefully you can give us some answers, but in the meantime, thank you for your answer, Handy. Very useful. All right, and okay, I think we're running out of time, but let's take one more question. Okay, let's see. Okay, one more question for Suki. Let's see if you can answer this one. So hopefully, Suki, you can join us. All right, Suki, so we got a question for you. It's from Jessica, and she's asking, so you mentioned KOL. How much for the budget should we prepare? Could we use KOL videos for branding as well? What do you think, Suki?
So there's not a limitation to the budget range, but it really depends on the campaign objective itself. So so for the user, I think normal like KOL campaign, if let's say just for boost for the performance ads, we usually suggest to comes for at least 1,000, right? To give a try to see if let's say there's any improving on the performance level. And in terms of like driving a brand awareness campaign. So like, let's say a hashtag challenge. So what we suggest that we can actually come up with a shortlisted a list of the KOL. There might be 10 KOL over there. So we suggest to go with approximately 5,000 above to try to find the most suitable KOL to create the buzz on the platform itself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very, very useful. Thank you very much, Suki, for this. And I think we're running out of time. We actually spent a bit more time than we wanted to. See, time flies when you're having fun. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us and thank our amazing panelists for being here with us and sharing some information and some knowledge with you guys. Special shout out to my friend Suki at Nativex, to Handy at TikTok, to Evan at CoLearn, to Vin at Amanotes, and Sandy at Bleebly. You are all amazing. Everyone in chat, thank you so much for your questions. For some of the questions we didn't get to, what I would suggest do, because we'd love to answer all of them. So in the handouts tab, when we got our TikTok documentation, which you can download, that also includes our contact details. So simply drop us a line there, and then we'll do our best to answer as soon as possible and get in touch with you and see how we can help you grow on TikTok even further. So that being said, I hope you have a fantastic morning, day, afternoon, wherever you are, and hope to see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much, everybody. See you later.